So, welcome to another motivation, inspirational interview. Today, we've got something special, bit of a change on what we normally do in regards to disabilities and people with disabilities. Because obviously, Birmingham Wheelchair Basketball make change, sponsored by Semble and Carlin and other organisations to support disability and be advocates and ambassadors for disability. Today, we've got a story which is pretty amazing about a cat and their owner and his owners regards with animals with disabilities. So, guys, pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much for doing the interview. Please introduce yourselves.
Yeah, my name is Daria Anderson. I'm Finn's mom.
I'm Colin Anderson. I'm Finn's dad. And down here is Phineas. He is a 6-year-old rescue cat who is born with a condition called cerebellar hypoplasia. So that just means that his cerebellum is underdeveloped. It's usually caused by a viral infection in the mother when she's pregnant. Because she was a stray, we're not entirely sure what happened, but that's the majority of cases. And so what happens is that attacks the developing cerebellum. And so it ends up meaning that his cerebellum, which is the kind of movement coordination center of the brain, wasn't fully developed. So basically he's what people refer to as a wobbly cat. Which basically he lacks normal coordination because he just doesn't have all of the signals there that you need to have normal coordination.
You can't tell right now because he's resting, but when he's moving or has something in his sights or some goal in mind, that's really when the wobble comes out. So you'll notice, like, when he's walking, his steps might be a little like lopsided, but he always gets where he's going. And I think that's what's really inspirational about him.
Thank you. I mean, you know, I've watched some of your Instagrams, and Finn is such a character. And you know, I'm a cat owner myself, and as you know, as I said, we had shocking news this week when we came home from work, and you know, one of my male cats had passed away due to being run over by a car. But taking on any animal as a pet is a massive responsibility, and even more so with a disability. But what made you make that decision to take on Finn and be his owner? But also, where did that motivation, inspirational come from?
Yeah, so I heard a loud echo there. Okay, I think it's better. Yeah, so we're actually both academic scientists that work on neurological disorders. So we both earned our PhDs in biomedical engineering. Actually, in February, we're starting our own labs focused on neurological disorders at the University of Sydney. So we both did our PhDs focused on movement disorders. And now I do a lot of work on cerebellar disorders, particularly ataxias. So I work on an ultra-rare pediatric disorder, pediatric onset disorder called Christensen syndrome. It's a developmental and degenerative condition that has intellectual deficit, cerebellar degeneration, ataxia, and seizures. And so I have a lot of familiarity with ataxia. So we discovered Finn on the Cats of Instagram page, actually, when he was only a few weeks old. We thought he was adorable. At the time, cats don't know how to walk normally yet, right? Because it's at least a month into their life when they're walking like a relatively normal adult cat. So we just thought they were cute, and we started following their foster mom's page. And a few weeks later, it turned out that Finn and one of his siblings were diagnosed with cerebellar hypoplasia. So at the time, we were in Salt Lake City, and they were in Washington, D.C., which is several thousand kilometers apart. So we just sent them a nice message and said, hey, this is kind of like that. He has a lot of similarities to what I study in the lab. He's an adorable cat. We hope you find him a great home. And a little while later, like a month or two later, it turned out that they hadn't found the right home for Finn yet. They'd had a few applicants, but they didn't think that anybody was quite the right fit. So I emailed back in and I said, hey, like, would you be open to us flying out, adopting him and flying him back with us? And we ended up being approved. So we just thought that we thought that because of the nature of our work, we'd be able to provide him a bit more of an understanding home. And so that's kind of how it all happened.
And I don't think we've looked back since adopting him. When he first came home, we were a little concerned. Like, did we make our house Finn-proof enough? You know, we didn't always have carpets everywhere, but now we do. So we tried to make things more accommodating for him where we could. I think it only took about a few days before he just really became part of the family. And I don't think I could like imagine life without him at this point.
Wow. Thank you. I mean, how since being there for Finn and looking after him, has it changed your life and inspired you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so Finn is obviously he's dealt a harder hand in life than most animals. So he has the cerebellar hypoplasia. He has a few other things that it's unclear if they're related or not. He does have pretty poor dental hygiene. Like for example, one of his bottom teeth in the front just never came in. His canines were never rooted. So he actually has dead teeth hanging out in his mouth. So basically, if you look at pictures of him over the years, if you're like, sometimes we'll repost an older photo or something, and you can always tell actually like approximately from what it is based on how long his canines are, because they've kind of gradually chipped down a little bit over time. Fortunately, because he doesn't have roots, he doesn't feel pain in those teeth the same way, but still it's another quirk of Finn. Beyond that, he also, right after we adopted him, we discovered that his colon was poorly innervated. So basically what that means is he doesn't have enough neurological signal to his digestive system to pass along his waste. So we discovered that he was very constipated shortly after adopting him. He was in a lot of pain when he was going to the bathroom. And it took us probably a good month and a half to get a correct dosage of medication regulated. And because we didn't want him to be in pain, we ended up typically over medicating is kind of how we erred when we were trying a new drug, just so he would actually be able to go to the bathroom. Because it's if you go too long without going, it can become life threatening. So when we were dialing in the doses, he would often end up having a mess all over himself at 3 a.m, needing a bath at 3 a.m. So he had a hard life as a kitten. And I think that one of the things that we noticed was that despite all of this, he's never been anything other than a very good-natured cat. I don't know if you saw the video that we posted last night, where we're with the music that's kind of making him out to be like a demon or something. It's all a joke. Like he's an incredibly good-natured cat. He teases his brother a lot, but he's just playing like any other cat. Despite all the difficulties he's had in life, he just kind of makes his way through it, and he's always happy. He's in a good mood. And it hasn't done anything to decrease his confidence. He's such a character. He has so much confidence, and he's just so happy all the time.
Fantastic. I mean, thinking of animals with disabilities, and do you think animals are overlooked with disabilities, and how can we show or share with people, regardless of an animal having a disability, that they themselves have a right to be loved and looked after, or depending on the severity of disability and lifespan? I mean, regards to Finn, I mean, we need that kind of responsibility for everybody, with animals as well. So do you think that's something that we need to push as well?
I think if there's, space in someone's home, they should really consider adopting a cat with disabilities or a dog with disabilities. It's really changed our lives. I think we have a different outlook on life just because Finn is so easygoing, so positive all the time, despite his hardships. I think he's really the sweetest, most good-natured cat. And I see this often in a lot of CH cats out there who have these wonderful demeanors. And I think really it's something that people should consider, because you never know how your life might change, but if you have the ability to take on this additional challenge, it's not major. We just made adjustments to our having rugs around, making sure there wasn't anything dangerous that he could climb and get himself in a bad situation. But it's been very worthwhile. I mentioned before, I really don't think I can imagine what our lives would be without him, because it's really shaped our outlook, I think, in many ways.
Fantastic.
Can I add to that just a little bit? So I think that just in terms of cats like Finn being overlooked, obviously I don't think there's anybody has statistics on what percentage of cats with disabilities like Finn are put down worldwide. But something we've come across a lot is people mistake the symptoms of cerebellar hypoplasia for rabies. And so cats will often be euthanized just because people think that might be rabies. Obviously, rabies isn't something to trifle with. That's really serious. But there are a lot of cats out there with cerebellar hypoplasia. And I think Finn is a good example that they can live wonderful lives. And I think that unfortunately, a lot of these cats are put down very young. If a breeder has a cat that ends up with CH, or a dog that ends up with CH, because it happens across different species, oftentimes they will just have those animals euthanized, which is really sad because they're wonderful animals. In terms of the ones that do get rescued, oftentimes they do get overlooked at shelters. So one of the things that we do on our page is we try to share every cat that we learn of that has special needs like Finn or other special needs, and try to see if we can find someone in our following that would take them in. We've been pretty successful, having helped find homes for a few dozen special needs pets. And I think that one story particularly comes to mind of a cat that had been in a shelter for, I think, over 5 years at that point with cerebellar hypoplasia. Good-natured cat, but nobody wanted to adopt them. And I think they had entered the shelter when they were a year or two old, that particular shelter. And then at this point, they were 6 or 7 years old. So it was nearly their entire life had been in the shelter. We shared them, and within a week, I think they had found a new home, and they've settled in really nicely there. And so I think it just goes to show that people just aren't necessarily aware, and people might look at them and think, this is something that's really challenging. I don't think I could handle that. And I think that unless you're getting to a case of really extreme severity or other severe comorbidities, they're actually not as hard to care for as most people would think. Finn is, we make a few adjustments to the house, and then he's just totally, he totally just lives his life and he's fine. We can work a normal work schedule and he's good to go.
Fantastic. I mean, what is the day in the life of Finn, you know, on a daily basis?
I think it's surrounded around food, if I had to like summarize it, because from the moment the alarm clock goes off, it's really food time for the cats. And Finn can get a little bit needy if you don't get out of bed quick enough to feed him. He's never mean. He actually, he smothers with love, really. So he'll start licking Colin's face aggressively until
with that sandpaper tongue. It kind of hurts. It gets me out of bed.
Until, you know, he gets out of bed and feeds him. And then he's really the king of chilling out. So he loves his beds. He's in one right now. And normally when our house has our furniture in it, there'll be beds scattered around, really comfortable and cozy places that we put out for Finn. And he'll spend his morning relaxing, sleeping like a normal cat. And then he'll basically pop out when, you know, treats come out. We can always approach him for like extra kisses and love, but he's a really relaxed cat. We'll sometimes take a little break to play with his brother. But then again, it's food time around lunch. And if I ever work from home and try to take a meeting around 3 o'clock, there's really no escaping him because that's getting close to what his dinner time would be. But usually we spend a lot of our time relaxing together with all 3 of our pets in the evenings. And he's really just a great, sweet cat that loves company as well, wants to feel included. So usually if he's in one of his beds around the house, it's going to be near one of us if we're in a certain room. But yeah, he's kind of lazy, I would say, but that might also be just with his age. You know, he's not a baby anymore, even though he looks like one. So he likes to spend his time, you know, catnapping throughout the day and, you know, various places.
It's, yeah, I think his videos portray him as being constantly active. And that's just because he's a perseverative cat. He's predictable. And so we kind of always know when he's going to behave in certain ways. So if we bring a package into the house, for example, whether it's for him or not, he always thinks it's going to be for him. So he's going to start yelling at us. So we'll pull out the camera. If we're about to feed him, we'll pull out the camera. If we're playing with him, we pull out the camera. Other than that, like other than those kinds of times, he really does, he relaxes quite a lot. So
Brilliant. I mean, obviously, you do a lot of Instagram and social media with Finn, and you know some of your Instagram is absolutely fantastic. How does Finn inspire others?
only some of it.
No, a lot. I do apologise. I mean, yeah, we looking at the Instagram and everything that you do with Finn, and you know, it's a constant thing, and you know, you have so many followers. But thinking about inspiring on social media, and what would be the message from Finn to the community about supporting animals with disabilities? And you know, you spoke about the rescue centres and supporting other cats and dogs, etc., with different conditions. But what is the inspiration behind that to support, and what would Finn's message be?
Yeah, I think the overall message is to just give animals a chance. And I can't count the number of pretty extreme messages we've gotten about, like, oh, he's got to be unhappy, he's got to be in pain, you should just put him down. And we try to be really patient with people that say things like that, realizing that the reason they're saying that is because they don't understand Finn yet. And we think that if people take the chance to learn a little bit about him, or any one of a number of other wonderful special needs animals on Instagram, we probably follow a couple hundred cats or dogs with cerebellar hypoplasia. And I think that if people just get the chance to learn about that, they realize that these cats are amazing. These dogs like this are amazing. They deserve a chance. And I think that that's kind of what we're all about, is from every level of deserving a chance, they deserve one. So that comes in, we like at the stage of rescue, we think that the rescue organizations should give these animals a chance. We think that people that are basically going to adopt a cat or a dog should give a special needs animal a chance. And then we also think that as the animals get a little bit older, Finn, where are you going? We think that as the animals get a little bit older, as some difficulties might pop up in their lives, they deserve a chance there too. We don't feature Holly quite as much on our page, I guess. People are mostly there for the cats. Holly is our almost 12-year-old dog. And she was diagnosed with cancer that led to her having to have her spleen removed. She had a tumor that was twice the size of the rest of the spleen, or twice the mass of the rest of the spleen. So she had to have that removed and go through 5 or 6 rounds of chemo last year. And we actually had even some veterinarians that encouraged us, like, she's never going to have a good life again. You might want to consider putting her down. And we decided, you know what, up until a month ago, she seemed really healthy. We're going to take a chance on it. And so after 6 months of treatment, she's been completely fine. And so we just think that giving them cancer-free, completely fine. So we just think that it's always worth giving them a chance until they really tell you that it's their time. So
yeah, it truly is inspirational. And as I said, you know, it's interesting from society's point of view with animals and people as well, regards to the communities. There seems to be, you know, a lot going around with stigma and obviously lack of understanding and awareness. And it's something that we need to change on a regular basis, you know, from you know, a human community society as well, with animals as well combined. Because, you know, I find with animals as well, they make massive inspirational buddies, and we have a buddy system with dogs and animals, you know, cats and all different types of animals as well. That, and you hear the amazing stories with regards to that. Moving on to, we have a quick fire round in our interviews, and I've sort of changed it a bit to incorporate Finn. So I'm going to give you 5 questions now, and if you can really answer them very quickly, to which are associated with Finn. So, what is Finn's favourite food?
I would say churros. It's like a tube of meat yogurt, fish yogurt, basically, for cats.
Favorite drink?
I don't think he has one. Finn doesn't actually drink water, and we have to mix it into his food. So he's not big on liquids. I would say his favorite drink would be food soup.
Soupy food.
Soupy food.
Favorite tie?
Favorite what?
Tie. So, what type of ties does Finn play with? What's his favorite? Has he got a
Oh,
favorite
toy.
tie?
Feather toys.
Definitely. feather
Anything
toys.
that's really realistic. He just really goes nuts for those. It's
Brings
just,
out the predator.
yeah, it really brings out his inner predator. I'm sure you can find some good clips of that.
Okay, and obviously we've being festive. A favorite Christmas treat?
Probably Kuru's again. I would say he likes that. He really likes bonito flakes, any kind of cat treat, or
Fishy.
he really likes popcorn. We give him a very small amount here and there. Yeah, someone just mailed him some Christmas popcorn. Obviously not Christmas flavored popcorn, but popcorn for Christmas, and he absolutely loves it.
Okay, and if Finn had a superpower, what would that be and why?
I know, sonic voice. I think he's just already so loud. I can't imagine.
Or it could be mind control, because he has the ability to melt your heart and get you to do whatever he wants you to do for him.
Yeah, here he is.
Thank you. We've got two more questions, and thinking about the future, what is the future of Finn and yourselves? And you talk about you moving to Australia, so what is the next part of the phase of Finn's story and yourselves?
Yeah, so I'm moving to Australia myself in under a month. I think it's 4 weeks from tomorrow.
And I'll be moving in 2 months with all the animals. And essentially, really our next phase is get them there safely. We're not leaving it up to chance. So we've hired professionals to make sure that everything in the move has gone smoothly.
Well, fortunately, work covered that for us, which was a point that we mentioned very early when we were talking to them. We have pets, and we need assistance with getting them to move out here, because we didn't want to. It's difficult to move pets into Australia. So
yeah, we joke that moving there for all the pets is basically retirement. I mean, our dog is a little old at that point, so I think she could use some beach playtime. And for the cats, we really just want a nice, like, sunny space for them to just, unwind and relax. Not have winter anymore.
Fantastic. And our final question, which we always have this question in regards to our interviews, is if Finn could talk more, what motivation and inspirational quote would he say that sums up life and motivation?
I think with Finn, I think one thing to keep in mind is that I don't think Finn really knows that he's different, because he was born this way, and cats just process things a little bit differently than people do. So he probably doesn't compare himself to other cats. But that said, he still has had some things that he very much processes in terms of, like, say, for example, his bathroom difficulties when he was younger. So I'm not sure how to put it into exactly a quote, but I would say that Finn would basically say that, like, something along the lines of, keep going, you got this, you can make it through anything, because he's really been dealt a lot in life, and he just always keeps on going. He keeps moving forward. He's always got that food bowl as his next target, so he's always trying to make his way there. And so I think no matter what gets in his way, he just does whatever he needs to do to get over every obstacle.
It's been a pleasure to talk to you both and to see Finn, and hopefully took some on board. Thanks for listening to us, Finn. Thank you so much for doing the interview. As I said, it's something different for us, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, and good luck with the move to Australia, and all moving the pets as well. And keep up with the Instagrams. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.